Well, hello out there, everybody. It is Mr. Fry here with you virtually again, and it is excellent to be with you. Not quite as excellent as it would be if we were doing this in person together, but this is kind of the best we can do right now until we can figure that schedule out. So, our lesson today, let's just get right to it, okay? We're going to be talking about kindness, and you can see the title card right there. Let's try to be kind. We're going to explore that word. We're going to talk about what it means, and we're going to refresh from some of our previous lessons. But first, as I like to do with all of you, let's check in. Now, this is for you. Remember, these check ins are for you, they're not for anybody else. Okay? So, hopefully, it's a quiet place where you are. Imagine you're probably in your classroom, maybe you're at home. Either way, hopefully, it's quiet and you're able to take the next 1 minute to check in with your physical body. How does your body feel right now? To check in with your emotions and your emotional self. Where are your emotional feelings right now? Ask yourself what you need and if there's anything you can give yourself over the next minute. And last, your intellectual self. Are you ready to learn right now? So, all those three things, do a body scan. Helps if you close your eyes, let yourself go to a peaceful place. And we're going to have 1 minute on the timer, and then we're going to pick up after that. Here we go. Okay, well, hopefully that was a really nice minute for you and you got to fix any minor aches and pains. I had a crack in my neck that kind of fixed itself when I moved around there. That was nice. Okay, there we go. Let's go to the next slide. So, our topic, kindness. Let's jump right in. So, kindness is never not the right thing. We can always be kind. You know, one of my favorite sayings that I've kind of come upon over the last few years is that it's better to be kind than it is to be right. And that's because it's something I need to remember for myself. All right. I love to be right. And sometimes that's not always the right thing. Okay. It's not always easy when you're someone who wants to be right and who likes to be right and have information and knowledge to remember that sometimes it's more important to be kind. Okay. Maybe you excel at that. I don't. So it's something that I try to remember. So when we practice gratitude and empathy, which are two words that we've talked about quite a bit in my lessons this year, it will naturally lead to kinder choices, but it takes practice. And remember, gratitude is being thankful for what you have, not focusing on what you don't have. So appreciating what you have and being content with that. And then empathy, thinking about the feelings of others, trying to identify with the feelings, the thoughts, the emotions of others and where they are. It kind of takes you out of yourself and puts you in a position where you are just kind of being considerate of others. Okay, but these things take practice. That's why we're talking about them. All right. So before we move on, let's define kindness. I always like to turn to the dictionary when I do my lessons, and I think it's helpful to have an understanding of where we are with the word itself. So the dictionary says kindness, and then you see how to pronounce it, kindness, is the quality of being friendly, generous, and considerate. So friendly, we know what that means. Generous, I think of someone who's generous as giving. Um, and then considerate, where we're thinking of others. Okay, we would say, oh, that was considerate of you. You left the door open for me. So that's our working definition of kindness. I think that makes sense. Looks good. So is kindness a choice? I think that's an interesting question. We are constantly presented with choices. How do we decide what to choose? Okay, what do you wear every day? What do you eat? Do you pay attention to the lesson in school, or do you drift off and start daydreaming? Okay, sometimes you have to make a conscious choice not to daydream when your brain starts to wander. And then things like, do you yell when you're angry, or do you breathe and count to 10? Use some coping skills that we've talked about. Okay, is all that a choice? We don't choose what happens to us, but we can choose our response. Okay, we've talked about that before. We don't choose what happens to us. Someone kicks me in the leg, I'm going to get angry, right? That's my emotional response. But what is my actual physical response? What do I do with that? Do I yell and scream and hit back? Or do I take a few calming breaths, count to 10, let my body calm down and regulate, and then deal with it? Those are choices, okay? And it is not easy, but practice makes better. I used the word regulate just now, and that was on purpose. I've used this word pretty frequently. I try to use it, okay, so that you get used to hearing it, okay? So choices that regulate. In my lessons this year, we've talked about a lot of things like feelings, fairness, gratitude, and empathy. Why? Well, my goal, here's where I'm telling you literally what I want you to get out of this. My goal is that you learn how to regulate your emotions and actions. The scenario I just described, that was regulating your emotions so that you calm your body and brain down to make a good decision. Because there are no good or bad feelings. Your feelings are what happened to you. You cannot control your feelings. But we hear a lot about controlling our actions and making good choices. Okay? And what in the world does it mean to make a good choice or make good choices? I think that all it means to make a good choice, a good decision, is that you're able to regulate your emotions and make a decision with a calm body and a brain. Okay? Calm body, calm brain. That's all regulation is. You can regulate yourself if you can use coping skills and other strategies to calm yourself down to make good decisions. And this is all the time, whether you're with someone or you're not, whether you're by yourself or with 100 other people. If you can regulate yourself, you can make good decisions. You can think about your actions. You can plan your actions. You're going to have your feelings. Those happen to you, but what you do with them, that's up to you, right? And regulating your emotions by thinking about all these things and practicing them, I think is so important to make a happy person. So here's something that I kind of thought of and kind of created, guys. The EKG triangle. Okay, that's a Mr. Fry word. I just made that up for this slide. All right, so an EKG machine is a machine that kind of tracks your heart rhythm. Okay, so I thought, well, EKG, those are the initials of empathy, kindness, and gratitude. All right, so if we think about it this way, empathy, kindness, and gratitude. Empathy, it challenges us to care about other people. Okay, we can be better by learning about ourselves or learning about others, and it makes ourselves better. Okay, so empathy is like a challenge. Do we care about others? Can we care about others? When we think about other people, it kind of takes us out of our head and lets us focus on other people, and we can learn a lot about ourselves by doing that. Kindness. Kindness challenges us to do positive things for others simply because we can and probably should, and I'll try to convince you of that in a minute. And then gratitude challenges us to be at peace with what we have in our lives. So when you think about your brain controlling your actions, the nerve center, of everything going on in your body, and your heart, which I kind of use as a metaphor, as we all do, I think, to talk about your emotions and your feelings. So if you can get your brain and your heart, your emotions to work together and to be regulated, I think that you'll be able to do that easier if you focus on empathy, kindness, and gratitude. Okay, it keeps us focused on not only our actions, but the actions of others and what we can learn from that, and then being comfortable and at peace with what we have. So that's going to be something that comes up later. I'm going to challenge you. So why should you be kind? Here's hopefully the question you're asking yourself, Mr. Fry. We don't live in a kind world. People are not kind to each other. Why should we be kind if others aren't? Well, I like to think that as long as we live with and around others, it is incredibly important. And we have a responsibility to our fellow creatures, humans, animals, everything that's living and breathing on this planet, to be our best selves. And I bet that you are not your best self when you are being mean, angry, grumpy. No one likes those feelings, right? In the moment, sometimes we can get really emotional and we want to, get our emotions out. And that feels good. But then afterwards, when we calm down, usually pretty regretful of the things that we did when we say that wasn't me, that was my anger taking control of me. Okay, so my goal is let's learn to regulate, right? And one way of doing that, kindness. So how do we know that kindness is the right choice? Because it gives us a very unique feeling. Kindness, when you practice kindness and you do something kind for someone, it makes you feel a certain way, and it's a really nice feeling. And I don't know if there's anything else that gives you the feeling that kindness does when you actually practice kindness. Simple, small acts of kindness. Okay, kindness is selfless. Okay, so selfless versus selfish. All right, not selling fish like the animal. Selfish, the word. All right, so selfless is when you are concerned with the needs and wishes of others instead of yourself. All right, we all hopefully know people like that who are willing to give instead of get. Right. Selfish is when you're only concerned with your own personal profit or gain. Sometimes you have to be selfish, right? Sometimes you have to worry just about yourself and make sure you're okay before you can help other people. And that's totally fine. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but kindness itself is a selfless act. Doing something kind is about believing that other people are as important as you. I hope you have people in your life who you think are as important as yourself. Family members, people you really care about, because a true act of kindness is something that you choose to do when there's no one watching, meaning there's nothing in it for you. You're kind to someone just because you think it's important to be kind to someone. You're not getting anything out of it except that nice, good feeling that kindness brings. Okay? So, an act of kindness is one that is about someone else and not you. It's done to help someone else and not yourself. If you're being kind to someone to get something from them or to convince them to give you something, that's more like manipulation. You're trying to manipulate that person into doing something for you because you're doing something for them. That's not kindness, okay? Now, kindness is not something that anyone else knows about necessarily. Sure, they obviously know about it because you're doing a kind thing, but you're not doing the kind act for attention, for clout, for fame, for prestige. You're not doing it so other people see you do it. You're just doing it because you think it's the right thing to do. Okay? Kindness ends up making you feel better, which is kind of magical when you think about it. By focusing on helping someone else, you end up coming out of that pretty good too. You think, wow, that made me feel good doing something kind for others. How do you act when no one is watching, right? That's a big question. Um, if you hold the door open for someone, right, when no one is watching and no one sees you, just to kind of help someone get in the door if they're holding a bunch of stuff, very simple, right? No one saw you do it. No one said, good job for being kind. No one gave you a pat on the back. You kind of did that just for yourself, okay? So kindness, all of these acts, and we've got a video here that hopefully is going to come up. There it is. So all these acts of kindness are true acts of kindness. Okay, they are done to help others, and sometimes at personal risk to the person who's doing the acts of kindness. So all this video is kind of interesting because they're all from Russia. In Russia, every car has a camera in it because the traffic laws and stuff are not as well monitored as they are in other countries. So for insurance purposes, you got to have a camera in your car. So anyways, there's all this video footage from Russia, people driving around, and someone put together a clip of just caught in the act of being kind. All right, these are not people filming themselves, they're not people like going out and making production out of it. These are literally just people caught in the act of being kind to others in simple, small ways. So I think we're going to watch just a few here, okay? And I'll turn off the music so we can kind of talk over it. Now, I don't know why this is taking so slow. There we go. So the first one, it's hard to see, but there's an animal on the road. Guy stops traffic. The light's green. He runs up, picks up the animal. I think it was a cat, and moves it off the side of the road. A very simple thing. Helps the animal. Made some people behind him annoyed, but he didn't care. He helped the animal. It's a woman trying to cross the road. It's snowy. This guy stops, puts on his blinkers. He's going to help her cross looks like a busy roundabout here, which can be dangerous. Helps her get across. Obviously, stops traffic for himself and for her to help her. Simple acts of kindness. We got a guy trying to cross the road, another busy street, a man who looks like he's missing, I believe, missing a leg, and on crutches. Guy stops, gets out, helps him up, gives him the crutches, helps him get across. Okay. I like this one. This one is so small and simple. A guy just jumps out at a red light, moves the snow off of the turn signals and the brakes so that people behind him can see when he's braking and turning. And then this is kind of a big one. We got a child who I guess ran away from a house, trying to cross the road. Guy comes up, finds the child, doesn't want to probably pick him up. People think he's kidnapping the kid, but obviously getting the kid out of the roadway into safety. Um, Incredibly important, could have saved the child's life. That is a bigger act of kindness. And again, here another one. Strollers going out into the street, guys honking, pointing, waving, saves the baby again from traffic, oncoming traffic. And then another one crossing the street. So, guys, those are just examples of like when no one's watching, you're just going out of your way to help people. Okay, I'm sure we've all done things like that before. What I want to kind of compare this to is what I see a lot right now in like social media and stuff. So I have kindness with the question mark here. This is something to think about. I wish I was there with you in person to process this. Okay. So sometimes we are motivated to do kind things for others for reasons other than just being kind. We are getting something out of it. Okay. For example, some people want their kind actions to be known by everybody. So they show off their kindness, put their kindness on display for everyone to see. Are these still acts of kindness? I would say yes, they are acts of kindness. But in this example, we've got Ellen, talk show host Ellen, who likes to give away all kinds of things on her show, I guess. Not something I've ever watched, but I know of Ellen, right?
That I really love. It's really cool looking. Anyway, that's the car that you drove here in, and that is your car.
Oh my God!
So Ellen, big production here, gives a car to a woman. Is this a kind thing? Incredibly kind, incredibly generous. However, Ellen could have just as easily given a car. Well, not Ellen herself. She's not buying the car. She's not giving. Obviously, we see Chevy there donating to the car. They get their logo on display. The show, the production company is giving this woman a car. Could they have done that without the production? Sure. They're making a TV show out of it. But could this be considered simply an act of kindness? Well, it absolutely is, but it's not motivated just by the act of kindness itself. There's a lot more into it, right? They're doing it for the TV show to give Ellen fame as well, and for her to kind of get something out of it as well. So, moving on, I want to think about these kinds of videos, which I guess are pretty popular now. And my question is kindness or self-promotion or both? We'll talk about what self-promotion means. So there seems to be a lot of these videos where people film themselves doing like random acts of kindness, okay? You get hundreds of thousands, millions of views on your whatever page, website, YouTube, Instagram, whatever. And by getting these views, you allow yourself to sell advertisements on the video. So you're making money off of the advertisements. You're promoting yourself. Okay, that's self-promotion. You're promoting yourself as a good person doing all these noble things. And these things, I'm just going to kind of let it play in the background while I'm talking. This is a guy who goes and, he films himself going around and buying some fast food for homeless people. Okay, really kind act. However, he could have just as easily have done it without filming himself doing the act. That would have kind of been more of a true act of kindness. Instead, he films himself doing it, puts it on his YouTube page, gets a lot of views, makes lots of money on advertisement. I guess my main concern with us seeing these acts of kindness is that we think that this is what kindness is, that kindness is an act of self-promotion, okay? But my question would be, is he using these people's pain to profit off of? So he finds people who are homeless, right? Certainly a travesty in any society or culture that considers itself civilized and advanced. And he finds these people who are in need and films himself helping them, giving them a meal. And then he's profiting off of it. He's making a lot more money on advertisement by selling ads on his YouTube page than these people get out of him giving them a meal. I guess if all this is so, can we truly call that an act of kindness, or is it self-promotion, or is it both? Could be both. Could be one or the other. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Next time you see me, we'll talk about it in person. So I want to remind you that kindness is selfless. We're going to pull up this slide, a little different wording down here. So The kinds of acts that we saw with Ellen and the guy buying food, they're self-promotional videos, okay? They're acts of kindness that are motivated by the personal gain of the person who's doing the act. And the person who's doing the act of kindness usually gets a lot more out of it than the person receiving the kind act, okay? Whether it's a car or a meal, Ellen, makes millions and millions, a lot of money, tens of millions of dollars a year, by doing things like this. So good for her giving people a car. But it can't purely be considered kindness. And I don't want us to focus on those kinds of acts of kindness because they seem to be rampant in the world and on social media and online. Um, I want us to focus on kindness being easy. We don't have to give someone a car or go around, giving homeless people food, which would be great if you did, but I'm not saying you have to, okay? Because kindness is super easy. You are probably doing all types of kind acts for others and not thinking about it, okay? Holding the door for someone I already mentioned, helping your little sibling, listening to your friends, saying kind words to people when they need them, doing chores without being asked, just helping out around the house. Someone drops something, you pick it up for them. Guys, those are the simple acts of kindness that are easy to do that we're doing all the time. So the more we think about being kind, the more we focus on it, the more we think about being grateful for what we have, being empathetic towards others, the more we are able to think about how we act in relation to others. Okay? By thinking about ourselves in relation to others, it keeps us grounded and helps us regulate our emotions. Okay? By staying grounded, that means we stay a person who is humble, thoughtful, thinking about other people as much as ourselves, and we're able to process and regulate our emotions, keeping our body and our brain calm. Okay? That's what it's all about. So, what does that mean again? Well, regulated emotions means you're able to calm yourself down using your coping skills, which lets you consider your own wants and needs and the wants and needs of others. If you have trouble calming yourself down when you're angry, you focus on your coping skills, you practice them, you find a few things that work. Start small, start easy. Breathing, counting. That gets you out of your head, right? It gets you focused not on what you're angry at, but on counting. Then, maybe after 10, 20, 30 seconds, you calm down a bit. You do it for 30 more seconds, you calm down a lot. You see that it's easy. You're able to do it for yourself. You're able to see others practice things that might help you. We learn from ourselves as much as we learn from others, okay? And practicing empathy, kindness, and gratitude and using those coping skills will lead to a happy, regulated body and brain. As always, don't just trust me. I want you to try to prove it to yourself, okay? So don't just trust me, right? I'm just a guy, right? Really. So I want you to challenge yourself to practice this EKG triangle, okay, and see what happens. Empathy, kindness, gratitude. Practice it. Am I right or am I wrong? Do you feel more in control of your emotions by practicing thinking about others, by practicing being kind, and by practicing being grateful? Okay, I would love to know. So that is it today. I want you to practice this. I want you to try it. I want you to think about it. And I really want to know what you think. So next time you see me in the building or virtually, let me know what you think. Let me know if you thought anything about this or not. I always love to know what you think. And I will see you next time.